There is no greater thrill for me than helping a career executive get to the next level, but get out of a career slump. Now, if that's you, you find yourself losing momentum and you're in a slump right now, you're probably asking yourself the question, how do I get out of this? Well, I've helped dozens of people over the last 12 months do that. And we better move them from what I call zip code to zip code, where you're in a more exciting and enthralling part of your career. And I'd love to tell you how to do that with 8 simple actions. Welcome back, everybody. We are here for another session. Short, sharp, get you the information, get you in here and out of here super fast so you can learn a little bit more about how can you get out of your career slump, the slump you're finding yourself in at work. Maybe you're out of work, and so that's got you in a slump. You're hanging around on the outside, taking a look back in, and you're wondering, when am I going to get back on the field of play? Well, if that's you, stick around and give you some ideas about how do I change my slump? And some of those things are going to be useful for you. You may even do a really good job of some of these, but some of them maybe you aren't paying perfect attention to. And so that can help you level up. I go as fast as I can. These are the little Thursday sessions that we do here just to make sure that you're getting the right information from somebody who went from junior data analyst all the way to the top of running a $100 million software company. If you're looking to climb your career right now and you need to get some momentum going on, and you need to get back in the game for you, listen to some of these ideas, and hopefully they're going to be what's going to help you get from one stepping stone to another stepping stone. And you'll hear me in a lot of my videos say, I want to move you from one zip code to another zip code, because the one you're in probably is leaving you feeling dissatisfied. And if you are dissatisfied with your career, with your work, maybe some other things in your life, then this is a video for you. So let's go, jump in here and talk about, first thing, if you are in a slump, you have a loss of momentum, what we need to do, if you look at the kind of the formula for momentum, it really is momentum equals mass, us, we are the mass in this analogy, times velocity, multiplied by velocity. And things in motion tend to stay in motion until they meet something resistant. And that's what stops and slow them down. But if we can move your mass at speed, then you will get into momentum. So the first thing I'll always say when I talk about this topic is energy. And I believe energy comes from the inside. We don't have to wait for something external to happen to us before we get that. Now, there are things you can do. You can listen to music, you can go and work out and all those kind of things. But even doing those things, you're generating that emotional energy, that energy, physical energy from the inside, because you're going to the activity first. And there's the clue for you. Get into action. Your energy matters so much to getting yourself out of that slump, to get you back into momentum, because the formula is mass, move this person at velocity, get some speed. You've actually got to go away and do that. So that's the first thing I would say to you. Now, the other thing to watch about, if you're lost momentum and you are in a little bit of a career slump right now, there's a really good chance that you've overworked. And hard work is what people keep throwing down your throat. Even some of the gurus will tell you, outwork everybody. Now, that might be okay for them. Remember, they're only outworking themselves. They're not actually outworking you at all. Yes, they're competing in their industry, but it's important that you understand what the right level of work is for you. And if you're working for somebody else on somebody else's agenda, there's a good chance that you can keep working around the clock. You ever had that feeling where you can go, well, the work's always going to be there, and if I wanted to, I could work 24/7. Yeah, I remember those feelings. I remember sitting in offices and just looking at the amount of workload, in the systems or in work lists of Excel spreadsheets and all those kind of things. 50 items on one spreadsheet. How am I ever going to get these things done? It's very difficult to do that. But the tendency for us is to go and do the overwork. Then we burn out, and then we hit a slump. And so then we take a look at, how did I end up here? And you don't even have to overwork at work. Some people are working the bare minimum right now. There was quiet quitting, but I think we've gone beyond quiet quitting. We're actually now at resenteeism, not absenteeism, resenteeism. Whereas the employees are resenting the organizations they work for because of the way they're handling remote working, hybrid working, return to work policies, feeling forced to do some things. Now, you might say, well, that's the job of the organization, is to force you to do things and get you to do stuff, and that's what you take. I don't believe that. I believe in oneness and humanity and caring about people. And so I do think giving people an opportunity to work on their own schedule is important. But if you're that 4-hour person, are you overworking somewhere else? either on your own personal projects, your family, maybe because you're so dissatisfied with where you are at work, you're hitting the gym and you're working out too much. That's possible too. You can actually overdo your physical exertion, and that will put you in a slump as well, because the body cries out for rest. I remember thinking back to 2021 in my first business, which became a kind of miserable chore in the end. I fell out of love with that really quickly. But one of the things that was common in there was the overwork in the business, but also the overwork in the gym. And my body's screaming, rest. James, you have to rest. And if your body is screaming right now, you'll know it, because you'll have all those signs that it's screaming for rest, because you'll have anxious thoughts, daily anxiety, you'll have depressed or pro-depressive states, and you'll be experiencing those things. That is a symptom, if you like, of that overwork environment. Okay, so how do we think about what we might do to shift ourselves out of this slump into momentum again? Here's the third tip I'm going to give you today, and that is to set up an extremely robust morning routine. Now, there is so much out there on the internet about morning routines that it's kind of where did it come from? Are we going to blame James Clear for his morning routine? Atomic Habits. No, look, Atomic Habits, by the way, is an awesome good book. It's not actually about habits. It's about deliberate practice. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here, is put some deliberate practice into your day that is going to set you up with the right energy and the right intention, which we'll come to, for your day. And so for me, what does that look like? I'll give you an example. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Now, that doesn't mean to say I go to bed at midnight. I go to bed early. I get to bed between 9 and 10, and I'm asleep, so I can get up at 5. And then 5 till 6, I'm in this environment. What you're looking at right now, I'm here, I'm reading, I'm studying, and I'm implementing projects. I'm working on things that I love to do. Now, I know lots of people love reading, they love writing, they love drawing, they love being artists, they love being creative. And I recommend, if you're in a slump, find something to create. Start building, start creating something. And your morning routine can include that. Then for me at 6 a.m., it's wake up with my family, spend some time having breakfast together. We do that from about 6 till 6:45, sit around the table together as a family unit, and we talk about the day, how successes are going to come before we transition to preparing for school, because we have school. Now, if you don't have kids, there may be another transition for you there. Maybe that's when you are going to go to the gym, which is the next thing we do. I go to the gym between 7 and 8, typically every day. At the weekend, it changes by an hour, but typically getting out there into the gym and making sure I've done an hour-long workout, but not overworking out. Making sure that every day is something different. I have one high-intensity workout a week on a Sunday. It's a VO2 max session, and it's running laps around a running track. Now, for some of you, you're like, forget it, I'm not doing that. But yeah, you can find your own high-intensity workout. But I recommend, if you're in a slump right now, just do one. You don't need to be a professional athlete here. But the other days, mix it up with low-intensity workouts, whether they're resistant or not, or they're cardio-based. It's entirely up to you. But start to think about, if you're doing nothing, by the way, let's start with go easy. Yeah, let's go easy. A couple of days just to get going. And then after a month, you can start to build up the amount of time you're spending on your workouts. But that's my morning routine. By the time I get back, get the showers, back to work. And then I kind of into it really around 9 a.m. and I'm into the office here, where I can actually start to do coaching, reach out, do some sales and marketing. I'm thinking about, where's my product development going? What am I thinking about operations of the business? All those kind of things. Now, if you're an employee, you don't necessarily have all those things to think about, but you've got a task sheet. And that takes me to the next thing, which is number 4, intention. What is your daily intention? And most people have a to-do list that is just longer than their arm. It's longer than their entire body. I've had clients of mine show me spreadsheets with 100 plus tasks on. Now, all of that is in your head, and your head is trying to process all of that information. It's very difficult to do that. But if you set your intention for the week, or for the day, I'm going to do for the week as well, but for the day, just pick one thing that you will do to the best of your ability and do it in your highest energy state, which for me is between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Makes sense, right? I've got a pretty robust morning routine. Your high energy morning is probably being taken up by back-to-back meetings. So be mindful of that. Is it possible to move meetings to a place where you're a little lower energy? Because high energy, high focus is when you should be doing your most productive work. So set the intention for one thing every day that you will do that moves the needle for you, actually takes you towards what you're trying to accomplish. But then you can add a couple more. So you could have a whole list of 3. Wow, a list of 3 for the day. I'm not saying disregard everything else that your boss or your manager or somebody is giving you, but I am saying make sure you have priority and you are clear. And if you work with a manager who keeps overloading you with work, make sure you've discussed the order of the priority and only work on those top things first and eliminate what I'm calling to number 5, distractions. And distractions can come in the form of your manager calling you every day to put another piece of work on your agenda, or to interrupt your morning when you're in a meeting, to text you, to email you, to call you, to walk into the office, wherever you're sat, and say, hey, I've got something for you. There's no even acknowledgement that they're distracting you, but the likelihood is it's not a priority above what you'd already agreed with the priorities. But there are other distractions too. In fact, there are distractions everywhere. Scrolling. If you have a mobile phone and you are scrolling on your phone and you're in a slump, you're going to stay in that slump until you start thinking about, what am I doing scrolling? What is this for? I don't want to be scrolling. And so other people use different mechanisms and outlets. And I'm okay with you spending time on the sofa. I think it's an important place to reflect, but not for hours and hours on end, watching Netflix or YouTube or playing games. If you're buried in Gears of War or Call of Duty or whatever the latest hotshot game is, I don't even know. If you're buried in those things for hours on end, you're just numbing the pain. And so these distractions are taking you away from where you want to get. So getting into momentum is moving this mass at velocity in the direction of the target that you want to go for. So let's think about that. Number 6, emotional control or emotional regulation. For people who are losing momentum, stuck or dissatisfied at work, frustrated at being on the bleachers and actually out of work right now, emotional control is vital for your success. You have to find strategies and tactics and tools to handle your emotions. And I think the biggest tool or strategy that's been taught to me over the last 3 years is be okay, that you're going to be emotional, that you're going to experience moments of dissatisfaction, that you're going to experience moments of sadness and happiness. This too shall pass. I find emotions are a little bit like the weather. They come and they go. And if you look at me right now, I'm not sad right now, but there are days or moments in my week when I can have a sad moment and I can be tearful and I can be emotional. There are days in my week where I can be frustrated that I have a technical issue, or I wish I didn't have to do a particular task. So I'm going to have to process these emotions. Now, here's the thing. Sit in the emotion, let it happen. Just observe, hey, I'm feeling this thing right now. And then look, I said don't go to YouTube, but you can go to YouTube and watch a 5-minute video that will give you 10 strategies on emotional regulation, emotional control. This video is not about that, but I think a way for you to do better at momentum and be out of the slump of feeling stuck and dissatisfied and undervalued and not getting what you want out of your working life, your career, or even your life is just to acknowledge, I'm going to be emotional. We are humans. We are this spiritual being having this human experience, and the human experience is an emotional one, and for good reason. so I enjoy that emotional reason. So think about that. Number 5. Here's number 6. Number 7. Sorry, that was number 6. Emotionals. Number 7 is to think about, what standard are you expecting to live to? Because a lot of the time, the reason why we become very unhappy and we drift into these slumps or moments of a lack of momentum where we don't feel like we're making progress, it's because we have set an expectation of ourselves, which is up here. But our experience of life and our career and our working world is down here. You see the difference? It's like a big delta to get from here to here. And so we get very frustrated because we're not meeting the expectations we set of ourselves. So there are options for you. One is raise your standard, your performance standard. The other one is lower your expectations so they can be achieved. My family and I, we go to these events frequently at weekends to have some fun, do some stuff that isn't work and isn't focused on, intense pressurized situations. So we can actually go and have some new experiences. But we have this rule: let's keep our expectations low. And because we keep our expectations low, frequently those expectations are always exceeded. And we have these moments where there's just one thing that will stand out from attending that event. And I always look for that. For any event or anything I attend, I always looking for, is there one person I'm going to meet that's going to change my life or just make me feel great and I can make them feel great and give something to them? And I don't want that to be necessarily transactional, but I want to have a human experience. And then is there one thing, one event, one activity, one task? Just what can I take away from this as a lesson? Or is there one thing there that's just going to make me joyful and make me feel great? And if you just keep your expectations super low, that's great. But I do want you to raise your standards. I do think raising your standards makes a difference to how you're feeling. So if you're in a slump, it could be to do with you have a low standard. I'm not going to be accusatory here because I don't know you, but I'm talking to you here. I want you to know raise your standards makes a big difference. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to get out of here. This is the 8 things. I gave you 8 things here to get you into momentum, to move you away from where you currently are in that slump, stuck, dissatisfied, on the bleachers looking in, trying to find the next opportunity, or actually at work and just undervalued, unappreciated, underutilized. You're a talented and gifted, delicious, awesome executive employee. I know there's better for you. So here's the last one. Number 8. Fun first. If I open up your calendar and plan for the week and I take a look at it, can I see where you're having fun? Because I think you finding opportunities and you delivering awesome and being your great self is kind of how you can do this. This is kind of the mechanisms for how you do this. But if you can be something, be patient and be fun and inject more fun into your week, that's going to make a massive difference just to how you feel emotionally, how your energy is. These are the things that are going to move you into momentum. Take this mass and move it at velocity, and that's going to get you to where you need to be. But fun needs to plan in first. This week, what is your fun? Take a look at your calendar as we get to the end of the video and just figure out, where have I put my fun in? Is it a date night? Is it a new experience on Saturday? I recommend you have your new experiences on Saturday. You've got more time. Typically, most people have more time on a Saturday. Go and do something fun. Is it go to a game? Is it go to a show? Is it go to a concert? And if you're saying, well, I don't have the funds for that. If you don't have the funds for that, just what's the new park you're going to? Those things mostly are free. What's the new spectacle that you've not seen that you need to get to? Have some fun. Create that. Build that in your life. And these things are going to get you into momentum. So there's your 8. Quick recap. I got them right here. So here we go. Number 1, energy. Focused on your energy. Number 2, look at, am I overworking? Number 3, put a kick-ass morning routine in there. Number 4, set your daily intentions and keep that list small. I say 1 to 3. If you have a whole load of other things of list, it's maybe time to start saying no to a few things, because if you say no to stuff, you can instantly get yourself into momentum. 5, watch your distractions. Make sure you are limiting the amount of scrolling, doom scrolling you're doing. A lot of that's going to give you pro-depressive states anyway. Number 6, think about your emotional regulation and control. Sit with your emotions. It's okay to be emotional. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. It's okay. Number 7, we talked about raising your standard or lowering your expectations so we can kind of meet those. And that would be great for you. And then last thing, have fun, people. Go out there today and have fun. I'll be cheering you on.